Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We're really excited about today's session with BDO, our friends, and learning more about the apprenticeship opportunities they have available. My name is Sharon Walpole. I'm a director at Career Map. We are going to be finding out about unraveling the mysteries of accountancy. Before we begin, I just want to give a little bit of housekeeping. If you haven't noticed already, on the right of your screen is a panel with a chat button. Please feel free to drop in any comments or questions you have throughout the upcoming presentation. I will be gathering these up to ask these of our panel later in the Q&A following the presentation, but I'm sure they will chat to you directly and we'll make sure that all your questions get answered. This session is being recorded, like all the sessions for National Apprenticeship Week, and you'll be able to watch again and share on nationalapprenticeshipweek.co.uk. I'm going to hand over now to Egil and his team to get ready for their presentation, and I'll see you later for the Q&A.
Thank you very much, Sharon. Might as well start by introducing ourselves properly. So my name is Egil, work as a resourcing advisor here at BDO. So that means I work with some of our regional tax and audit teams to hire trainees into them. And we're joined by Jane, who's in my team.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Egil. And thank you, Sharon, who's now disappeared. Yep, I'm Jane. I work in the early and career resourcing team with Egil. I'm an assistant manager, and I sort of help run the team with recruiting graduates and apprentices, potentially like yourselves. So, yeah, really happy to be here. Thank you.
I'm Millie. I'm an audit trainee and I work in the Gatwick office, and I work mainly on corporate clients. But I'm just sort of here as like an example of someone who is on an apprenticeship scheme with BDO.
Thank you, Millie. Okay, so I will start us off. As you can see, obviously today we're going to be talking about unraveling the mysteries around accounting as a profession, but we're going to be looking at a few things today. So let's just kind of run through what you can expect. So yeah, quite a few slides today. We probably won't keep you for the full hour, but hopefully we'll give you some interesting information and some food for thought. So first of all, in a second, we're going to look at who we are as a firm, what we do, a little bit about BDO's culture, and how to be yourself. That will become a little bit more clear as to what that means as we go through the slides, I hope. And then we will look at busting some myths around accounting. I'm sure you've heard some already, so maybe have those in mind, and hopefully we'll be able to dispel a few of those as we go through. We'll look at our different streams, so the different sort of specialisms that we have at BDO and the things that we do for our clients. And we'll look at the different programs that we offer, as in, you know, the apprenticeship program, for example, and what that means to you potentially. We'll break down apprenticeships a little bit further as we go into it, what the requirements are and what you can expect to do as part of the apprenticeship at BDO. We'll look at the recruitment process. I know that there are going to be some burning questions around what is the recruitment process? What do I need to do? Do I have to do an interview, et cetera, et cetera? So we'll get to that as well. And then at the end, we'll have Millie talking through what her journey has been like and how she's got to where she is now. And we'll all be answering a few questions after that. So that is the plan for today's session. Okay, so let's kick off. Okay, so I did sort of tell you that we would be talking about who BDO are and what we do. So here are some sort of fun facts all put into this nifty graphic for you. This is more of a sort of international bit of information. We have 1,600 offices across 167 countries, a total of 91,000 staff internationally. I think it might be even more now. Revenues of 10.3 billion as of the end of the year before last. So quite a large scale operation we're running, we like to think anyway. And then making it a bit more local, as to who we are and what, our presence in the UK. We operate across 18 offices in the UK. And again, in this graphic, you can see where we're all sort of dotted around. We are owned and run by 350 partners who are the sort of leaders of our business. And underneath the partners operating, we have 5,650 staff across the UK. Okay, gives you an idea of scale. All right, so the values. This is an interesting one. You'll probably find that the majority of employers that you listen to and speak to will have some kind of values system that they abide by throughout their sort of working life. And this is ours, essentially. This is our wheel of BDO values. We sort of refer to these as the cultural glue of the firm. And these, in essence, guide everything that we do, whether that's dealing with clients, meeting new potential recruits, how we deal with each other in the office. So, hopefully at least one or two or all of them will resonate with each of you. I suppose it's a really sort of good compass, if you like, to sort of be guided by throughout your day. So let's just have a look at these in a bit more detail. So being bold, this is how we sort of define these four values. Being bold, we would describe that as being ambitious, innovative, really passionate about the things that we do. We're curious. We like to come up with new ideas and be proactive, make things happen, even if it means kind of working outside of your comfort zone on occasion, which we all have to do, but it's good for you. Being responsible and acting with integrity. So that's what the blue one is. Obviously, it's about taking responsibility for our actions, learning from our mistakes, taking ownership of our mistakes. And that sort of extends into our commitment as a firm around acting ethically, working with integrity, and just making sure that we're delivering a really high quality piece of work at all times, taking the public interest, in mind and delivering our clients as the absolute primary, delivering to our clients. Being genuine, that's one that I'm a big fan of. It means we're being true to who we are. We'll talk a bit more about that when we get into the Be Yourself section. Being honest about what we think and what we believe and feel, allowing ourselves to be vulnerable around colleagues, when it's appropriate and it's the right thing to do, embracing individuality and different people, different characters. It means not judging people based on their beliefs and their background, and making sure that we sort of earn the trust of our colleagues, because without that, it doesn't spread into what we do with our clients and the work that we do. So that's a very important one as well. And then collaborative. So obviously we are a team, however you look at it. As an international enterprise and as a resourcing team, Egil and I, we're a team. It means that we're recognizing the power of supporting each other, working with each other, and how that, as I say, resonates into everything that we do. It's a way of working where everyone has their role to play. Everyone's important. Everyone is a cog in the machine. And it's about how we empower each other as well. What we try to do as part of being collaborative is we are trying to build meaningful relationships based on that trust and understanding and respecting each other, basically, for all of the different skills and qualities that we all have. I could talk about these all day, but hopefully, as I say, some of that does resonate with some of you. Okay, so that's a little bit around who BDO are and what makes us tick day in, day out. I'm going to hand over to Egil now, if I may, to talk about some of our clients.
You may, absolutely, Jen. Thank you very much. So you've heard a little bit about sort of the size of our firm, a little bit about sort of our value system, but I think it's also important that you know what we actually do. So as a firm, what we do is working with clients on helping them solve issues, essentially. So either around sort of compliance, so things they are legally required to do, or help them in other ways as well. So some of the services that we do are covered on the right-hand side of the slide here. So audit and assurance, which is obviously where Millie works. We have risk advisory, forensic services, etc. So there's a lot of different experts at BDO who work with a lot of different clients as well. So we have a lot of big companies and organizations that we work with. So Barclays, some of you will probably know, HSBC, UNICEF as well. And we work with a lot of big football clubs. So we've got Celtic and Cardiff on here. We also work with Everton and Manchester City for anyone who's interested in that. So we work with a lot of different clients, from sort of high net worth individuals on our private client side up to some of the biggest and most recognizable companies, both in the UK and globally as well. The way we do that is set out in our strategic framework. And I think it's important to also put our values in a little bit of context. So our purpose as a firm is helping you succeed. So that's helping you succeed as a trainee if you were to join, or helping our clients succeed. So that's what we're working on. And that's sort of what drives us day to day, which is then set out in that vision that you can see on here. So we want to be an independent, sustainably profitable and globally focused firm known for helping people and businesses succeed. In slightly different words, I like to see that as us being responsible in the way that we run our business and be collaborative in the way that we operate, both with team members and colleagues and our bosses, but also with clients and with you as candidates if you were to apply. So values, obviously we've spoken about, and all of that then feeds into the strategy, which sort of is the way that we would fulfill our purpose. So that sets out the 5 sort of key areas for us. So you've got brand in there, you've got unifying culture, which is really important. You also have a digital mindset in there, which I think is one of the perhaps most interesting ones to talk about. So essentially what the build strategy does is focusing our efforts. So for me, I touched upon them already, but I think the 2 most interesting ones are unifying culture and digital mindset. So unifying culture is all about that collaboration and making sure that everyone can be themselves at work. So when you join, or if you join, we want to have an environment where you feel supported to share your opinions, to give your viewpoint on things, and to work with experienced people who can help you use that. Because everyone who joins the firm will have their own set of experiences, their own view on things. And what we have is a culture where that's celebrated, and we want to tap into all of those viewpoints. So that unifying culture essentially means that we allow people to be themselves at work and we celebrate that. Digital mindset is one that maybe doesn't come to mind if you think of accounting, but what it essentially means is that we are working on that technological shift that's happening in professional services. So as you might have a view of accounting as sort of filling in numbers on a spreadsheet or even in some book somewhere, but that's changing a lot. So we have AI, we have machine learning tools that are changing the ways that our auditors like Millie are working, and will continue to do that. So it's a very important part of what we do as a business as well. And then handing over to Jane, you wanted to talk a little bit more about...
bit. Thank you, Egil. That was a really nice breakdown. Thank you very much. So a really big part, you know, in addition to the values and everything that we've spoken about so far, is this culture within BDO around the importance of being yourself. Not only is it just sort of a nice idea that we all kind of have in common, but it's also something that we've kind of formalized and sort of built into our strategy and the way we do things. So let's just go through the slide a little bit, and I'll elaborate. I can't help myself but elaborate. You'll learn that as I go through the slides. But be yourself is a core component, as I've said, of BDO strategy and what we do. So being yourself does mean different things to different people. I suspect most of you are already sitting there having a little think about what makes you an individual and how you are, how you stand out. So our take on it at BDO is that, it is still a place of work. It is where we work. It means being able to work in a way that suits the way that you think, you learn, and how you collaborate. And, COVID has brought its challenges, but one thing that it has also brought is the fact that a large proportion of us are now working from home. I'm at home today, and, it's really forced us all to kind of take stock of how we do things, and is the old way of doing things still the right way of doing things? So I shall continue. BDO's Be Yourself strategy was originally launched back in 2019 as a way of formalizing our approach to equality, diversity, and inclusion. It's our way of recognizing the responsibility that we all have at BDO to each other, to our clients, to build and encourage this unifying culture that Egil spoke about, where people can thrive. So, it's about being comfortable, feeling like you're in a safe enough environment that you can speak up and be an individual and be yourself and be the same person in the office as you are at home, basically. So we know that creating a firm where our people can be themselves leads to enhanced success. Obviously, when I'm more comfortable, I work better. Increases profitability as a result of people working better, and really quite simply, it makes life more enjoyable for everybody. Lots of opportunities for us all to play a part in bringing this to life, whether that's joining one of our networks, attending an event, or just having one-to-one conversations with each other and colleagues and different team members, etc. So it's, as I say, it spreads into everything that we do. Now, I mentioned networks. So as much as there is this, attitude that we all are very respectful and inclusive of each other, we also do understand, some people's sense of needing to belong to a community and having sort of a safe place. So we have these employee networks that are available to us. So this is just an example of some of them. There are more, but these are probably our bigger networks. So we've got our Blend network, which is the LGBTQ plus network. We've got the BAME network, the Islamic network, Christian network, and so it goes on. So I think the beauty of having these networks is so that people can still have that sort of community within a community feel. But I think the best part about the networks that we have at BDO is that they're not exclusive. They're not cut off to everybody else who doesn't fit into that particular sort of defined community. So if you, for example, I'm part of the BAME network, which might seem funny to you, but I'm part of it because I have close friends that are part of that network, and I enjoy the social events, and I enjoy attending talks and learning and keeping myself sort of educated on where we are as a world today. So just goes to show that even though, as I say, we have these networks and communities within the community, it is all still very, very inclusive. So hopefully that gives you a bit of a taste of what we're doing at BDO. Now, still in keeping with the Be Yourself theme, which again is something that I'm very enthusiastic about, we've made a video at BDO that we would like to share with you now. It's not long, but I think it probably gives a snapshot and explains it in a far more concise and fun, colourful way than I ever could. So Millie and Egil, should we turn our cameras and whatnot off, and I'll play the video, okay?
I'm not just a BDO partner, I'm also a mum to young kids, a daughter with an elderly family to care for, and a person with a good sense of humour to keep us all going through life's stressful moments. Being able to recognise that at BDO allows me to bring my best self to work.
Be yourself means being true to yourself and being proud of who you are in an environment which is genuinely inclusive and celebrates individuality.
When you reach out in BDO, whether it's for skills, knowledge, ideas or support, you know someone will always be willing to help.
As a Muslim, being myself means feeling comfortable to express why I don't attend drinking socials or why I need time to pray 5 times a day. Being able to do so without feeling like the odd one out or like I have to justify it puts me at ease.
Be yourself means that you don't have to worry about the things about you that might make people treat you differently. When you don't have to worry about that, you can focus on what you're here to do.
At BDO, I feel the freedom to be the same person in the office that I am in my own home. I know that I can bring my own character and my own style into my work, and I know that my individuality is valued. It means the firm gets the best out of me. I don't have to try to be someone I'm not.
Be yourself to me means having the freedom to bring all of me to work, making me less focused on fitting in, but rather standing out with ideas that can and have made a tangible difference in the firm and for my future here at BDO.
Be yourself means I'm judged on my merits and not who I'm married to.
Be yourself to me means a culture where you can be yourself and not worry about what other people think, and where I can also play my part in helping others feel the same.
Hi everybody, we're back. That was cut short. Sorry about that.
Are you still there?
I'm still here. Sorry about that. The video was basically at the end anyway, so let's get back to the slide. So hopefully that kind of explains in a nutshell, as I say, a much more polished way than I could explain what the Be Yourself culture is all about at BDO. And that's actually in real life, a lot, some of our colleagues from the Baker Street office in that video. So I really like that video a lot. And I think it's, a really nicely put together message. So yeah, thank you very much for watching that. And I will hand over to Egil for this next part.
There we go. So there are a lot of myths and misconceptions around the accounting profession. I certainly had quite a few, I realised, when I joined BDO. So we want to just talk through those with you a little bit and explain why they're not as right and as some people might think. So you might have your own, but these are some of the misconceptions that we do hear, that it's boring, that you have to be a maths genius, that you have to have sort of an A in maths, A level or similar, that auditors are quite introverted and dull personality types, there's a lot of desk work on number crunching, or that you don't have any impact in what you're doing. And obviously we've talked about the tech development that's happening already, and it's quite easy to think that, maybe there will be a machine doing my job at some point. Is it really a future-proof career to go into? So I just wanted to spend some time talking you through some of those. The first one, obviously, the accounting is boring myth. There are many different accounting roles within the industry. So, within BDO, there are accountants doing a lot of different things and working in a lot of different specialisms. And at other firms as well. Obviously, you don't have to work for an accountancy firm to be an accountant, because a lot of firms obviously have their own internal accountancy practices or teams that work sort of on the opposite side to the auditors as well. You can work in any type of industry, and you can very much go in and sort of align your career with what you want to do. I've touched upon the football clubs. Obviously, they need to have their finances in order to buy and sell players, or you can also use the qualifications and that experience to become a leader, if that's what you're looking for in organizations, not just a BDO, but a lot of the big firms in the UK and globally have ACA qualified accountants working on their boards as CEOs and CFOs. So it really sets you up to have that career if that's what you want. I need to be a maths genius to be an accountant is something that we hear a lot. And I've seen a question around, do you ask for an A level in maths? We don't. And the reason for that is because it's not about doing the complicated maths. It's more about understanding what those numbers mean, in analyzing them and investigating them, and really trying to ask the right questions around the numbers, and obviously know the rules and regulations that are relevant as well, more than sort of working on any overly complicated mathematical problems that I certainly know I had to do in school. And I'm sure Millie can talk a little bit more about that, but that's really not it. Accountants are introverted and dull. That's definitely not the case. People have all kinds of different experiences. They do all kinds of different things in their spare time. I know Millie works with one manager who also runs ultra marathons for Team GB. How he gets the time to do all that exercise, I have no idea. But people do all kinds of different things, and they have to be great communicators and build relationships as well. You don't always have to be extroverted and talk all the time, but you will be dealing with clients. So having that ability to sit down, get to know your clients and build those relationships, both with clients, but also with your colleagues and your teammates, is really important. So I definitely don't think any of our accountants are introverted and dull, at least. So that was some of them. There are other myths around there as well that we sort of just mentioned and touched upon. We can spend a little bit more time on that in the Q&A if you want to. I just wanted to move on to our streams as well. So you might, you know a little bit about the clients that we work with. You know a little bit about who we are and our purpose. But I wanted to touch upon what we do as a firm and how we do it as well. So our business is split in 4 streams. So you have advisory, audit and assurance, tax, and business services outsourcing as well. And if you were looking to apply as an apprentice, you would be applying for one of the teams within one of these 4 streams. So I'm going to talk through them quickly so you have a bit of an overview of what they all do. The advisory stream works with clients essentially to help them solve specific problems. So if you're running a business, you might be very good at selling shoes or delivering a specific kind of service to your clients, but you don't have or might not have the expertise to deal with all of the things, all of the issues that might come up when you're running that business. And that's where the advisory function comes in. So either helping companies buy or merge with other companies, or helping them if they're about to go under, if they have financial difficulties. We have advisory experts who can help come in, tell them what we would advise them to do, and sort of guide them through that process and sort of come in and be that problem solver and work alongside the client. So there we have about 1,600 employees who all work within their own specialisms. Business services outsourcing is the smallest stream, but it's probably the one that's growing the quickest. So what they do in business services outsourcing, or BSO as we like to call it, is 2 things. So one is helping companies by running their own accounting function. So some companies don't want to have their own accountants within the company, so they come to BDO and they ask us to run that for them. Or we have some experts who work with their clients to provide sort of advice on how to grow the business. So the majority of our the companies that we work with are sort of AIM listed, which means that they are small, medium-sized enterprises. They're looking to grow. They're looking to become the big companies of the future. And that's where the BSO teams come in. They work alongside them. They help them understand their business better on the financial side of things. and then really help them get to those growth goals that they're working towards. Audit and assurance is the biggest one, as you can see. So 2,200 employees, it says on here. I'm sure they might well have hit 2,500 by now. They're growing rapidly, and what they do is that they help check a client's financial statements, that they are accurate and presented fairly and in compliance with reporting standards. So said in a different way, if you own a company, you have to publish your financial statements. Depending on what kind of company you are, there are different people who will have access to those, and those need to be right. And you have to have someone say, yeah, they are accurate, and you have presented that information fairly. So that's where Millie's team would come in, or some of the more specialist ones like the not-for-profit team who work with charities, who come in and sort of do that work alongside the client to sort of sign off on those statements. And then the last one, so tax, they are obviously experts in an area of tax. So working with clients to help them understand how much money is it having to pay in tax, and where and when. So working with companies who might, for example, have an employee working out of Spain for 7 months, or who are employing someone in another jurisdiction, just helping them understand, okay, what does that mean? Where do I have to pay employment tax? Or if I'm buying a private island, for example, we've had that. We had a director down in Southampton who worked with their client and went, okay, well, if you're buying this island, you have to pay this much in tax. So all kinds of different things. And they are not just understanding the numbers, but also understanding that legal framework and advising clients on that. And then we're coming to our program. So I'll hand back over to Jane for this one.
Thank you very much, Egil. So, I mean, not both of these programs that we have up on the slide just now and in the next couple of slides will be applicable to all of you. Some of you may not have, most of you probably haven't decided what you want to do yet, but just to be sort of transparent around the different kinds of trainees that we take into the business and the different stages that we take them in. So obviously there is a graduate program for once you finished university, but just to touch a little bit more around the apprenticeship program, which is what we're here to talk about. So when you join BDO as an apprentice on the apprenticeship program, once you've left school, you would be joining to do a 4-year program with us. So it's, you know, it's quite intense, but we would obviously make sure that you are ready for it when you join us. That's our job. Once the 4 years is complete and you've performed successfully, it would lead to a globally recognized professional qualification, which might be something like the ACA, if you've heard of something like that, which is the Chartered Accountant qualification, and there are others. I won't go through all of the acronyms with you now. We can do that later if you really want to. So this route is available to students who've not completed a university degree. So basically either fresh out of school, if you fancy getting straight back into work and study, or, you know, those people who've taken a gap year, etc. You can have a break after school and still be eligible to join us as an apprentice. The minimum requirements for the apprenticeship program are: we do need you to have 3 A levels or the equivalent if you didn't go to school in England, and we would need them to be 3 C's at a minimum. And then for your GCSEs or again equivalent, you would need to have a 9 to 4 in maths and English. Okay, and again, just to touch on some of the other programs that we offer, because again, who knows what stage you might end up deciding that you want to join BDO, if any. We run some insight weeks, one of which is the Explore BDO program that's aimed at year 10, 11 and 12. So maybe some of you will have just missed that. We've got a Black Heritage Insight program, which is created for students of Black Heritage in their first year of a 3-year course. And then we have for our undergraduates, the Industrial Placement Programme or a summer internship, which we'd be happy to answer questions about during the Q&A if you want. But let's move on to some more apprenticeship themed bits. Okay, right. So talking of the apprenticeship, helping you succeed is really, again, another sort of core purpose that BDO sort of live by. So as well as supporting you through your professional training, which you would do during that 4 years that I mentioned, BDO do have mentors that would obviously coach you throughout and make sure that you were supported at all times. You'd be assigned a people manager who will work with you from day one. And even on top of that, you will be given a buddy before you start, and that'll be another trainee who's probably a year ahead of you in the program, who's been there, done that, been through the struggles of, study and what is the balance and what do I do and all this kind of thing. So we make sure that you do have that support system in place, so that you always have somebody that you can go to, and you can always have somebody who's behind you sort of saying, I've been in your shoes, you can do it, basically. There's lots of support in place, along with, the actual logistical stuff like study leave ahead of exams and things like that. And again, even if it's just someone you want to sit and have a couple with and have a bit of a chat, there will always be somebody who can make themselves available to support. That's the beauty of it. Okay, so the apprenticeships themselves, let's break it down a little bit as to how they work. So it's a balance of work experience, studying towards your professional qualification. Apprentices like yourself, if you're coming in to do the 4-year course with us, would be required to complete learning over 20% of your time with us. Majority of that is sort of virtually done rather than classroom at this point because of where we are at the moment, but who knows how that might change. So again, learning can include attending tuition if applicable, internal training in a classroom in the office, which may still be happening. We might go back to that. Shadowing and mentoring senior managers, directors and partners, and seeing how they operate with clients, because these are the people that you can really learn from, among other activities. Most of the apprenticeship programs are a level 7, which is obviously the equivalent to a master's level qualification. So 4 years of earning money, working with clients, getting your feet under the table at a really large firm, but also coming out of that 4 years with the equivalent of a master's degree. Hopefully that kind of puts it into context as to how worthwhile this program can be. Hard work, yes, but very, very much worth it if you really give it your all. And some of them don't offer the level 7. Some of them offer the AAT, which is the level 4 apprenticeship attached to it, which is the equivalent to a first year of university, which is still obviously great while you're actually working and earning money at the same time. So hopefully that breaks it down and explains it a little bit for you. I'm really sorry about any background noise. We've got some work going on right outside my window, so I'm really sorry about that. Let's move on. Okay, so we talked about misconceptions and myths around accounting. Let's talk about how apprenticeships are viewed. I mean, over the years, I've had lots of different questions from lots of different sort of students at events and things like that around, am I too old to be an apprentice? Will I get paid if I come in as an apprentice? Is it the same as or better than going to university? I mean, that last one is really sort of dependent on what you want to get out of it. But, when it comes to things like what time in life is the best time to do an apprentice, for example, anybody of any age can be an apprentice as long as you're over 16. And apprenticeships are available to school leavers and graduates if that's the route that you want to go down, and also people who maybe have been working in something completely unrelated for a decade and decide they just want a complete change of direction. It's not unheard of at all. Eligibility for apprenticeships as well. We can talk about that in the Q&A, but obviously not everybody is eligible to do the apprenticeship. So that is something that you might want to talk to your resourcing advisor about if you do decide to pursue a career with BDO. As I say, we can talk about that in the Q&A. But having apprentices at BDO enables us to provide better advice and service to our clients. It helps us make better decisions as a company. We can't be a company of directors and partners. Who's going to look after BDO in the future? I'm so sorry about the background noise. I knew this was going to happen today. And it gives us the knowledge, because of that broad spectrum of people that we have working in our business who come from all different stages in their career, gives us better knowledge that we need to grow and progress in our careers as well. So that's sort of the misconceptions, or some of the misconceptions you might have had yourself or heard around apprenticeships. Okay.
So another misconception that we often get is, well, you'll keep me on for 4 years. I might then have to reapply for a role, or I need a university degree to go really far in the organization. So we just wanted to talk you through Paul Egelin's story as an example that you don't need to necessarily go to university to have a successful career. And the reason we do that is because Paul Egelin's our managing partner. So he's the essentially the CEO of BDO UK, and he's the one who's in charge of the firm on a day-to-day basis. So he was gifted in maths at school, and he started working at the age of 11. And because of that, he got offered a place at Kent Uni, but he decided, you know what, I want to get stuck into work. I want to get some work experience. And he applied for an accounting apprenticeship. So he joined BDO in 1987, made partner in just 9 years, which is really impressive. It doesn't happen very often. But being a school leaver apprentice does actually mean that, some people do make partner before they turn 30. Believe you me, it's amazing how quickly you can move through if you set your mind to it. He became head of our tax stream in 2001, audit and tax in 2009, and head of professional services in 2013, before he got elected managing partner back in 2016. And as I said, the main sort of reason why I wanted to show you this is because he started straight out of school. He had some experience sort of doing part-time work at a local market, but he didn't come to us with an accounting degree. He didn't have any sort of prior accounting work experience either. He started because someone saw that he had the potential to continue on the path that he had chosen for himself. And that's what it's all about. It's, for us, we're looking for people with potential, because if we take you on as an apprentice, it's not because we want you to be with us for 4 years and then leave. It's because we want to help you develop, nurture that talent that you've got, and help you work hard to reach any of the goals that you have, whether that's taking over as managing partner after Paul, or whether your career choice is something different, or you might even not even know yet. Our goal is helping you succeed and be yourself in such a way that you can get there. So that's a little bit about sort of the career that we offer, I guess. And we'll talk a little bit more about sort of the application process as well. So the application process is designed to essentially assess your potential. Within the firm, we have what's called a strengths-based framework that we look at. So it tells you what is necessary at all stages of the organization. So AMP is what I measure myself against. It's what Millie, when she's having discussions with her manager, it's what she's looking at. How are your technical and core competencies coming along? Is your attitude what it needs to be? And how can we work with that? And the reason we use AMP is because it's very transparent. It sets out what you need to do at each level. And because of that, it's also what we look for. So we have 6 competencies that we look for in our trainees, whether you come in as a graduate or as an apprentice. So it's innovation and change, decision-making, communicating, business thinking, developing self and others, and collaboration. The way the application process works is fairly straightforward. So 3 stages. Online application form, which is essentially just what's your name, what are your contact details, and what kind of grades do you have, GCSE and obviously A levels or equivalent. So we do take BTECs, for example. And then once you've submitted that, you get the online test, 45 minutes, very straightforward. And we can run through more of that later, I'm sure, if you want to in the Q&A. And then after the test, there's the virtual assessment center. It's all happening online at the moment, 5.5 hours. If you do well there, you get the offer. So very straightforward, 1, 2, 3, and we try and sort of move your applications through as quickly as possible and give you feedback as we go along as well. Just because we know it's a big thing to go through, it can be stressful. So anything we can do to help, we do. I think the next one is, I'll hand over to Millie, which is obviously currently doing the apprenticeship. So Millie, do you want to take over?
Yeah, sure. So just a bit of context about me. So I'm an audit trainee at the Gatwick office in the South East. I'm on the 4-year apprenticeship scheme. So I joined in November 2020. So I was 19, nearly 20 at that point. So I didn't join fresh out of sixth form. At the moment, I'm 6 out of 15 through my ACA exams. I've done the whole certificate level, and I'm due to sit my professionals this summer. In terms of my job role, I am in the corporate stream at Gatwick. So there's 2 different streams in the Southeast, and that's the corporate clients and non-for-profit clients. I do work on a bit of a mixture of both, but I do prefer to specialise in more corporate clients, as I personally find them more interesting. So a sort of timeline as to how I got to where I am today. So in December 2018, I decided that I wanted to sort of pursue a career in finance and accounting. I wasn't necessarily 100% sure that it was going to be audit. I was just in general wanting to go down that route. And I knew that university wasn't for me. So I knew that I could get a professional qualification by going into accounting and that was equivalent to a degree and still get a good career by not going. I'd applied to Big 4 firms and their programs and other apprenticeships in accounting, kind of not really having a sort of focus on what area that I wanted to go into, which is fine. But in my experience, I wasn't successful. I sat my A levels in May and June of 2019 in chemistry, maths and sociology. And then pretty much as soon as my A level was finished, I started working as a customer service assistant for Lloyds Bank. I wasn't successful in getting apprenticeship programs at that point. I think I put most of my focus onto my A levels, and I could have put a lot more effort into my application process. So I think one bit of advice I would give you is definitely to sort of attend webinars like this and listen to the sort of things that Jane and Egil have said, because I think that's definitely what makes you stand out as opposed to other candidates that are applying for apprenticeship programs. So yeah, in January 2020, I sort of realised I wasn't really enjoying the retail banking sector and customer service in general. And I knew that I'd always wanted to go into accounting. So I thought this would be a perfect time to sort of start reapplying. So yeah, so I reapplying in early 2020 and I got my offer to start my apprenticeship in March, just before we went into lockdown. So that was quite a significant time before I was meant to be starting, and I wasn't really sure how it was going to look for me starting in the middle of the pandemic. But luckily BDO were really helpful and they were really, really organised with getting my intake up and running in regards to apprenticeships, basically. So I started slightly later than expected in November 2020, but this meant that BDO had a plan for all of us on how we were going to basically be trained and start doing our role remotely, which is definitely something that was really, really hard for all of my intake. But I think it's allowed me to sort of get my head around audit and be even more confident now that we're back in the office and going on client site. So yeah, that's kind of a bit about me and how I got to where I am today. Yeah.
Thanks, Millie, and very, very well done for everything that you've achieved so far.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that about wraps it up. We've gone probably on for a little bit longer than planned, which I apologise for, but definitely ready to answer some questions, whatever you've got for us. Hopefully Sharon, there she is in the background there. Hi. So I'm just going to, in the meantime, put up our contact information if anybody wants to follow us on socials. But yes, let's have some questions.
Great. Well, we've had a little bit quiet group, but some very interesting questions. And I want to thank everybody for joining us. And we'll go through some of them now. And we also have some general things that would be great to find out about. Liam asked the question, and I hope this sounds very specific to me, but what type of work is involved with working with football clubs?
I knew that was going to come up. Your fault, Egil.
I know. So primarily the football clubs that we work with is on the audit side, so auditing what they're doing and sort of working with them to make sure the financial statements are right, etc. Some of our teams have also been involved in club takeovers. So especially on the tax side, working with potential buyers of football clubs and sort of working out if you're buying a club or this club, what kind of tax do you have to pay, etc., and sort of advising them on that. So it's primarily within audit and tax from what I've heard.
There have been a couple of questions about specifically about the apprenticeships. When we're saying, do the apprentices have much responsibility, and what kind of pay do they get?
Do you want to take the first part of that question, Millie, and then I'll take the second part?
Yeah, sure. So was it how much responsibility? So basically throughout my 4-year program in audit, you are sort of given more increased responsibility as you go through your qualification, as you go through your scheme. Starting off, you are not pressured with any responsibility, really. Like I say, they're more just you're coached by your seniors and your semi-seniors in your audit team, and you're given more simple audit testing to kind of get your head round. It's definitely mirrored closely with how far through you are with your qualification as to how much you'll be sort of exposed to. So I'm in my second year of my apprenticeship now. So I'm definitely at the stage where I'm taking on a bit more responsibility with coaching more junior members of the team and, like I say, taking on more complex audit testing. And I think what's good about the apprenticeship program as well is that it just goes really well with your studies, because I'm exposed to a lot more complex audit testing because I have more time working. Obviously, when you have the graduate scheme, it's more condensed into 3 years, whereas when you have 4 years to do the qualification, you are exposed to more time actually working, which gives you such a better context, and it just helps you understand what's going on in your qualification. So in answer to that, you're not pressured with too much responsibility to begin with, and there's always somebody that's going to be above you looking and reviewing your work. So in audit, I think most of my clients, I've had my work reviewed twice over by managers and then partners as well. So if there's anything that they think you've not done correctly or that you can improve on, they'll assign you sort of review points and say, look, next time you should do this, or like, can you ask the client for this? So you're never going to have to worry about sort of, like you're taking on too much, if that makes sense.
It does. Thank you very much, Millie. On the salary bit, I think the easiest thing to do is just to say, have a look at the website, because all of our job ads for all of our EIC roles, so whether that's a school leaver apprenticeship or the graduate roles, we publish the salaries on the job descriptions. So you can have a look on there, and that's probably the easiest way to do it, because they're slightly different for some locations. So I'll just say, have a look, bdo.career.co.uk, go to apply now, and you can have a look at the roles there.
One thing I'll say as well, kind of following on from what Egil said about the salaries, is throughout your 4 years, you will progress, and you will sort of, your salary will increase alongside of the sort of responsibility that increases as well. So it's not just the same for the whole 4 years, and they do try and make it fair with school leavers and graduates.
Great. Well, I was going to move on to something else, but there was another question that followed on in the chat from, and I'm going to have a go at saying this, Avalil, that was saying, what are your options if you don't have A-levels but are still interested in the apprenticeship route? She has the required GCSEs. I think this is also an interesting question for people who might be younger, like, is there an option to join from GCSE age 16 apprenticeships?
Currently, we do have options for people who've not yet done their A-levels. For example, I very briefly touched in things like, Insight Week opportunities and things like that. So we do have opportunities for you to sort of come and check out what it's like at BDO and do some work shadowing for a short period of time. But to be taken on as a permanent member of staff, to come in and work towards a professional qualification. Currently, just being completely transparent, we don't offer anything for people who have not achieved that A-level stage or equivalent. I think one of the main reasons for that, and I'm sure Millie and Egil will agree, is that these professional qualifications, they're challenging. There's a lot of work that's involved, and there's a huge amount of commitment and dedication that Millie has obviously shown to get where she is and what we expect from our trainees. So we would use that as sort of our, that's the level that we need people to sort of be at. Number one, to know that they're sort of going to be able to come in and pass the professional exams, but also to know that they are sort of ready for the work and the pressure that they'll have felt during their A-levels, and sort of how that continues into work. So there is pressure and a lot of hard work. So we need to make sure people are prepared. We want to help people succeed. We don't want to set people up to fail. So that's why we do it the way that we do it currently. Who knows, in the future, there might be other opportunities.
We're almost out of time, but there was one nice question, I think, to end on for Millie, that Thomas asked, it was Sarah. She asked, what made you join BDO over other companies that you may have looked at?
So I think for me, what stood out about BDO was the fact that they are obviously a large company, but the scale of them compared to other big four firms isn't so big that you're just considered a number. I think mid-sized firms are definitely good because you still have that opportunity to sort of branch out into other sectors after you're qualified. You have, like I say, a big cohort that you join with that you can sort of that help you along the way. And like I say, if the company's bigger, you're going to make more friends and you're going to have more opportunities. But at the same time, it's not too much of a large scale company to where you get sort of lost. Yeah.
That's nice. I think that's great. And I think it was a really interesting session, and you provided lots of information. So thank you very much for everybody who's attended. Sorry if we didn't get to everybody's questions, but hopefully you'll find what you need on the link on the site. And if you haven't clicked on it yet now, I suggest that you do. For those who will be watching this on record, that's www.bdoearlyincareer.co.uk. And we will this is being recorded, and we will be posting it on nationalapprenticeshipweek.co.uk. We have a lot of events on this week, so it may not get up until next week. So if there's any further thing, I see Jane's just put in as well an email address, so make sure you note those things down, but it will be available next week. Hopefully you'll join us from the other exciting events we've got going on this week, but I'd like to say thank you very much from me, Sharon Walpole at CareerMap, and I'll let my guests say thank you, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Thanks for having us, Sharon. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care then.